10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, welcome everybody. I hope you are having a wonderful day. It's Friday, and you know what that means. Another exciting episode of Stadium Connect North. So, this is last week. We didn't have an episode. I had something to do with my son here, but we're back again. And of course, another amazing developer interview. Wow, Ninja, I've been excited for this. I know Aswi, you as well. And actually, shout out Aswi is the one that set all this up. Welcome back, Aswi. Really appreciate it. How are you doing?
Good. Glad to be finally back. It's been a while.
Yeah, that is awesome. So that's great to have you back here. And as you can see down below here for me, we have Astrid. How are you, Astrid?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, awesome. So Astrid is CEO, owner of Triple Topping Studios, which if you guys remember here on Stadia, welcome to Elk, a fantastic game that I highly recommend. If you haven't tried it out yet, you definitely are going to want to try it out, but we'll get to all that here real soon. Let's just do a few shout outs here in the chat, Ninja, if you don't mind, before we start here. I see shout out to Inley. Look at that. He says, "Salute, folks." How are you doing? Look at this here. Metal Wolf is asking, because I saw Vivi earlier in the chat, told Vivi be on his best behavior. Metal Wolf jokingly is asking here, do I have your permission to abuse my power to put Vivi in timeout if I want? You do. You certainly do. But you know what? I think Vivi will be okay here. Let's see who else. We've got Internet of Games is here. He says, what time is it? Here's Vivi here. Wee. Oh, gosh. So many other... look, Aswee's here. We've got Nathan's here. Humble Bum says, hi, John. Hi, everybody. Miss T22. Oh, I don't want to miss. Let's see.
Oh, we got Jamie Reed also right here.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Hoppy Bomber. I think that's Hoppy is new here. Thank you so much. Dead Dog 52. Who else do you see, Ninja? Is there anybody I missed?
Did we miss Fletch? I feel like we might have missed Fletch, but hello, Fletch.
Yeah.
Xbox Nation. Yeah.
Yep. That's awesome. Alrighty. So, let's get down to it here. We've got Astrid here. She so graciously accepted our invitation to come on the show here and chat with the Stadia community. So we can find out a little bit more about herself, the studio, welcome to Elk, and some other games here. So let's go ahead and get started. So Astrid, again, thank you so much for coming on the show here today. We really do appreciate it. We know it's a later for you because your time zone here right now it's 4:30 in the afternoon for myself. I think Ninja it's 5:30, and for you I think it's what, maybe 9:30 or 10.
10:30. It's okay.
Oh my
like
gosh.
I have colleagues in America, so I'm used to having like late meetings.
Oh my gosh.
No worries.
Well, yeah. Well, again, thank you so much. Oh, look, we even have Gracie's in the chat here. Gracie says, "Hiya." Awesome.
The crazy thing here is that the chat is translated to Danish, but not Will.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Astrid, let's start out. We always like to start our interviews and our talks by finding out a little bit about yourself there. Maybe introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we kind of go from there.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Astrid. My pronouns is she, her. I'm wearing a blue shirt and I have very short hair if people can't see me. I founded Triple Topping about 5.5 years ago, and it's my first job in the games industry, running a studio. So it's been like a steep learning curve, but I loved any minute of it. We released Welcome to Elk. We published an indie game called Ynglet as well, and right now we are working on our next game, which it's called Dead Pets Unleashed. Yeah.
Ooh, awesome. Well, that's great to hear. So you touched a little bit about Triple Topping. You said it's about 5 years now since you opened it.
5.5 years. Yeah.
5.5 years. Okay, great. So could you maybe tell us what was the story? Like, how did that come about? Like, how did you decide to open up like a game studio?
I needed a job.
It's easy, right?
Yeah.
I think at the time we were two founders, actually 3 founders at the time, and today my co-founder Simon is still an employee, but I'm the only shareholder left. I think Simon and I, we just really love to game jam together. Like, we went to a lot of game jams, and I would do graphics and he would do programming.
Oh wow!
We made a golf game. It was one of our first games called Birdie, because golf. And then because we liked working together and we didn't really know what we wanted to do after our studies, we ended up founding a studio. It was a longer process, like back and forth, like what if we do a studio, like what kind of workplace should it be? We want to make a lot of games, but we didn't have like a specific genre or anything. We just went ahead and came up with a name, and yeah.
Oh wow! So
the CVR number in Denmark and all of the official things you have to do, and then quit our job. Yeah.
Wow. So is there a story behind the name? Like, how did you come up with Triple Topping?
First, I think we wanted to call it Banana Hot Dog.
I love that. That was awesome.
There was a game studio in New York called exactly that. So that was like one Google search. Like, oh, okay. Then, like, I always loved hot dogs, and I think Simon asked me, like, what is it about hot dogs? And it's like, it's all the toppings.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
That makes sense.
It could be ice cream, as someone is mentioning here in the comments, but yeah. Like, for me, it's hot dogs. Like, it can be any kind of topping, I guess.
But let's go ahead and ask that question that Vivi has. So what would be your 3 toppings on ice cream?
On ice cream, caramel sauce. And in Denmark, we have something called guff, which is like egg whites with a lot of sugar in, so it becomes like really sticky. And cream, whipped cream.
Oh my God! That sounds fantastic. Yeah.
Google Danish ice cream.
Oh my God. Well, here we go. Vivi's a good guy. He always comes up with creative questions here, so that's awesome to see here.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's interesting to learn about how the studio came about, how you came up with the name. Look at Zoriana says, now I need ice cream. Hey, maybe we'll come up with triple topping games ice cream, right? A particular brand that we could sell.
Who knows?
Oh gosh. So moving along and talking more about the studio as a whole. I know that on the website here, Triple Topping is a feminist game studio or company. For those that may not know or understand, could you explain to us like what that means and maybe why that was important to kind of identify the studio as this?
Definitely. So first of all, I think for me, feminism, like especially on TikTok right now, I can see that people have a lot of, I would say, misunderstanding about what feminism is, because we post some videos about it and the comments. But I guess everybody's here to learn. So for me, feminism is that everybody has equal rights, like all genders. And for example, in Denmark, it will mostly be the women who will like stay home and take care of the children. I think dads and men should have rights to do that as well, if that's what they want. And I think women should have the same rights to like do a career and have a job and like all of those things. So when we talk about feminism, it's really about making sure that gender is not the reason of you having success, for example, at the office, but it's like who you are as a person. And it goes very deep into how we like put together our contracts and how we work. So like everybody gets the same base salary. If you have family, you get a bonus because it costs money to have other people take care of your kids. Come to my office and work for me. So we really took it to some extra length to actually make it an equal workspace for all. If you're not working within games, like it's very common that most programmers are men and most artists are women, and programmers often get like double salaries as artists, which is weird because like what would Welcome to Elk be without art? Like,
True.
Like, I guess you could make it with blog and like little gray blocks and dialogue, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have been the same experience.
I honestly didn't know that. That's very interesting. I didn't know the salary was different from these positions.
It is very different, yeah.
Wow.
And then like we can go to community managers, like they don't even like that's almost nothing because like, hey, it's a hobby.
That's true.
No.
And I think you bring up a very good point. Like you said, you see comments on TikTok and stuff like that. People misunderstand what, feminism is. And they think that it's, trying to put put women above men or, you know what I mean? Like this trying to, and you've done a fantastic job here explaining that, that's not what it's about. It's just having equal rights, equal opportunities for no matter who you are, everyone be treated the same. And that's amazing. I totally applaud you for that and bringing that to the forefront and making it, part of the identity of the studio, because it's so important these days, again, as you mentioned in the gaming industry, it's largely dominated by men. So being able to see, regardless of whatever gender you are, having that equal opportunity and right to shine, because, there's a lot of talent that we don't see simply because of the gender. And this is amazing that you put this to the forefront and push this. So like, I applaud you. I don't, this is so awesome to see.
Thank you. Like, I think it's also that it's like stated so obvious. It's also my little how to say that in English, my little anarchistic me just being angry.
Right, yeah.
When you start a studio and you are a female in the games industry, it's very much uphill. Like it's always difficult to start a studio, but the amount of discrimination, like one of the first investors I pitches was like, I've invested in women before, but that didn't really well. So we see it like as too risky to invest in women.
Right.
What?
So for me, it's been like, okay, at one point it's like, I'm just not gonna listen to old guys anymore, and it's like,
screw those.
And those oldies. Thank you so much for sharing that, Astrid. Like, the challenges that you went through with that. That's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Ninja, I'll let you. So basically, Astrid, what we do is here, we're gonna we split up the questions amongst us all, so we all get an equal opportunity to be able to ask and talk with you here. So I'll pass the virtual mic over to Ninja here.
Thanks. All right. So Astrid, first of all, again, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. And I've been playing Welcome to Elk. I haven't finished it yet, but very enjoying the experience that the game is giving. But for the question that I have, Elk is a fantastic game, which has won many awards, by the way, if people don't know that. And so for those who might not know or not have played the game yet, can you give us a little general overview of the game and what it's about?
Yes. So Welcome to Elk is a game based on true stories. A lot of different stories that we collected basically from my family. So there's some video clips in the games, and those clips are portraying like my brother, my mom, and my dad. And we really wanted to work with storytelling in a new way, because I think it's like very human to tell stories and like retell them. Like we all know the feeling of like sitting around a bar and someone explaining a story, and it gets a little bit better each time. Someone explains the story. So that's really the center of what Welcome to Elk is. And at the time when we started the game, like we didn't have a lot of money. So I think also the graphics that Murray Somerville did amazingly stands out, because it's all like very simple and distinct. So it's only things you can interact with and the characters that are colored, but everything else is just like grayscale. We have some video clips as well where people tell about the true stories. And then the animation is like puppet animation. So because we couldn't afford an animator, so Simon just made like this puppet animation system. So they all walk really funny and silly. But that works really well. Like the way the art style makes it looks like funny and silly, maybe a little bit cute or quirky. And then we have some very heavy stories. So it really like balance out the game really well, I think. So it's not like, of course, if you had heavy story and everything was like very dark and in a heavy mood, it wouldn't be hard to even complete the game. But because I keep walking like around silly and funny, and they always have a joke to tell, or they do something funny like 2 minutes after, it sort of picks you up again and carries you on. And that's very inspired by TV shows like, for example, BoJack Horseman, where it can be like very, very serious and heavy stories, but also he's a horse and it's fun.
I love it. Yeah.
So by looking at gameplay of the game and that you don't really know what it is until you actually play it, because it's true there's some very heavy experiences in the game. So it's a very unique take on the game, and I'm wondering, like, when was the time where you said like you think like, okay, that's it, that's what we have to do? Like, how did that build up to be the type of game that you wanted to make?
Our creative processes, it's many years ago we started out. It started as a bachelor project for me when I was still in school. So me and Simon did like I would say like more an interactive novel, a little bit like Florence. And then Murray joined the team, and he has such a fun humor. Also, he's a native English speaker, so he was really good at like nailing what the dialogue could be. And then we did, in the very early days, a demo. It was actually a racing game. I think you raced around the forest.
Wow.
Yeah, I need to
very
find
different
that at some point. But it very, very early, it became clear, like, hey, we're just gonna do something different and like bring that attitude of like rapid prototyping, game jamming, not spending too much time on like every little detail. for example, we kept saying like, if no one sees the water is not animated, like why animated? Very different. I can see someone here is mentioning Spiritfarer, amazing game, but like they have money and the time to pay attention to backgrounds and details and amazing run cycle animation. He skipped all of that and just made something like.
Well, it is smart, right?
Too hard. Yeah.
You look at your budget and you look at what you can do with it, right? And that's what came out. So I very much admire that for sure.
I think it was $250,000 which is like nothing for a game.
Oh, it feels like a lot, but yeah, for sure.
But for a game studio with 5 people for 2 years, like you can easily see how much salary that is. It's not much.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Now I'm looking forward to Elk Kart, like the racing game. So can't wait to see that. So the game is based on true stories. Can you elaborate a little bit on that and talk about how you protected the real identities of the people telling these stories?
Yeah, we went very far to do that because it's not. I think at some point, if a story, if you take it out of time and place, it becomes something else. So, for example, in a game there is a story where a dad is killed in front of his family, and I think what's important with that is that that's happening right now in this world. That parents are killed in front of their children. For many reasons and situations and in many different lives that people are having. So there is an original family where this exact thing happened. But the important thing is that you can sort of put yourself in a place in someone else and make them human. I think the way we talk about, for example, refugees and immigrants in our society, especially in a very like white colonizing country as Denmark, is that it's just like it's just somebody else and it's just someone far away. And I think if you can tell stories in a good way, you can actually make people empathize and realize like what these things you hear in the news is actually about. And protecting people's identity, I think, is very important. We've been in contact, of course, with people in the game, and some of the stories happened like more than 50 years ago. And some of the stories are more new, And it's fun because the city name Ilk. This is an island here, but there's a lot of place called Ilk, and there's so many that's been writing us like, I live close to Ilk. I think I've heard some of these stories.
That's not it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I grew up on an island. I can definitely recognize this is like, you don't know. But it's also like they come from different places. So we pick very different places and put it together, so it's like its own place and time.
Yep. So it looks like there's a question here from Laris in the chat here. Is the protagonist Frigg based on a real person too?
No.
Okay.
Straight up. Yeah.
Okay.
At least we got one.
Yeah.
But the way you speak about this game, it's so deep. Like, I bet that it was really like a big emotional journey for you and the team, right, to go through with this game. I can imagine.
Yeah, like you share a lot of personal stories. You talk a lot about ethics when you're creating a game like this. You talk a lot about like different experiences and worldviews, and you end up easily talking about politics and a lot of different things in the process of sharing these stories. So in that way, it's definitely an emotional process. I think at some point you're also like, we get used to like, you're so deep into the story and the game development that I sort of forgot how this would like feel upon like whoever watched it, like viewed it. So I remember the first time we showed it was at Mix at GDC in San Francisco, and I was just like standing there. I was very pregnant at the time as well. Like, here's my game on my laptop, here's a controller, and then people started crying because they played that scene I talked about before. And I was like, people are crying. Because that we have been like working so nitty gritty into the detail of this scene, of course, to make people feel something. But I was also so used to see it at the point that I didn't think about it the same way anymore. Like if you see something over and over again, or if you get used to watch like scary movies, or if you watch the news where you see like horrible things happening every day, and you sort of at some point you stop paying the same kind of attention. So that really surprised me. In a good way. It's like, yay, it works. The cry.
Yeah.
So I personally really enjoy stories where they immerse you and they put you in these kind of experience, right? So good job on that for sure.
Thank you.
Do you have a story that you're like that you feel like a lot of strong emotion about? What's your favorite story basically in the game? Without any spoilers, if possible. Too much spoilers.
Yeah, too much. I think the story that we are still working with today is maybe one that would surprise people a little bit. So in the game, there is a scene where Frick is like harassed by some dudes in a bar. And that's a story from my mom and from her youth. And afterwards, someone texted me on Discord, and it was a fan from Brazil, and she said like that was just like so important for her, because that was not like only her stories and my mom's stories, it was like the story of all women. And then when we started on the new game we're working on, and we're going to talk about a little bit more about later, in the beginning we didn't really thought much of these things, but we knew we wanted to have a female protagonist again. And at some point I just realized like this is actually why we want to have a female protagonist. Like we need to show these kind of stories that women have. And so today I think it's the most important story for me in the game, and it's one we talk a lot about. We talk a lot about it on the new game, and use everything we learned from Welcome to Elk in order to make that game telling the stories the right way. But I think when we were making the game, it was definitely the dad getting killed, because it took us a long time.
That was heartbreaking.
And it was heartbreaking. And I remember us listening to Oprah music and Disney music and going through so many different things to like get that right emotion. So in the design process, that was the game, and that was also the mini game that set the tone for what the whole game should be. But today, it's of course like in retrospective, it changed.
Nice. And I think that's what makes like for me that emotional connection between the characters that between myself and the characters that you've created. That's what makes a great game. And the fact that you're telling, like, you're part of the story, like you said, when you showed it to other people, like they're crying, they're having real emotions, they're they can also now, we hear about getting bullied in the bar there. So now, although it might not have happened to you, you can kind of say, okay, that is bad. You kind of feel that same, like you come to a realization of what's going on and what other people go through, and you can relate to it through the game. And that's a very powerful message. And that's like one of the reasons why I love Welcome to Elk is just because of this, that fantastic relationship that you've created between the characters in the game and the people playing it. It's just amazing.
And that's also why I wanted to make games. In the beginning, I wanted to make movies, but with games, you can do this exact thing as you're describing here.
Exactly.
Awesome. Your passion for film permeates through it too, because even when you have those moments where it kind of switches gears, where you're going with this cute art style into the more full motion, and I played this in one sitting. Like I could not I couldn't put it down because each story kind of wove into each other. Like not they're all, but there was almost like a thematic like nature to it all. And then when it builds to these crescendos, again, won't spoil it because I think everyone needs to play it. You just like explode with emotion. It's just so good.
Yeah. I have to replay it. I haven't played it for 2.5 years.
I tried
Shane,
to play
Shane,
it
no, just
before.
kidding.
I tried
Yeah.
to play it before this interview, but then work and everything. But I like as soon as I put it on all week, I was thinking about like different moments that hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to get back into it. I really enjoyed what I had, but I just jump onto something else. But yeah, I was really immersed when I play it. So I need to get back into it.
It's also not long. I think it's like 2 hours, maybe.
Really?
If,
Wow.
if you
just
blast
like
through it, it's 2 hours.
If you just like go through it fast and not
Okay.
interact with every little bit in the background.
Yeah, I'm taking my time. I think it might take me a little bit longer because I feel like I'm not that far and I've played like maybe an hour. So yeah, we'll see. So now I'm really interested to why you decided to bring this game to Stadia. So my question on that is, how did your involvement with Stadia come about, leading to the release of Welcome to Elk on the platform? How did that happen?
They sent me an email.
Oh, they went to you. Nice.
And they basically signed the game. So we had a deal with Stadia that made it worth for us to do the porting. So at that beginning, when we signed the deal, Stadia was like relatively new as a platform.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it wasn't even announced. I can't remember. So we had like no clue, basically. And so we got a portion of money, so we could like port it and do that. It was Simon porting it. I think he hated it because I remember the presentation was like a Google Doc or something with links.
Yeah, it's very new, right? Yeah.
So he was like, Astrid, are you sure it's worth it, this thing? And then we released it on Stadia, and was it January or February, maybe? Yeah. And we released the game in September, and then it came out on Stadia there.
Yeah.
And it was difficult for us because it was a new platform, and we didn't know exactly, like, I get Steam, like I know how to Steam. So for us it was difficult, and the game didn't really, like, no one played it, basically. No one played it. And then this year, they reached out to me again and said that they wanted to put it on Stadia Pro. So that was when we started to see people like you pop up on our Twitter, like talk about the game, and realize there's a very dedicated Stadia community out there that I didn't knew at all was existing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I didn't see it at first either. Like, it took me maybe a year and a half before I started getting, into the community. But when you learn about it, it's amazing how many people are in there and help out each other like that, right?
Yeah.
So I sat looking at this game when it came out originally and like hovering over the buy. I'm like, this looks interesting. And then I put it aside. So I did end up getting it eventually, and I got it, I think, just before it went on Pro. And I was like, yes, this needs to be on Pro and it needs to be played.
It
needs to be experienced.
Yeah. So
I think Stadia Pro was smart for us for this one. Otherwise,
awesome. Yeah.
It's good to hear that. Yeah, we hear that positivity with other developers, and that's what we try to do, right? Whenever we get someone here and they're not sure if they want to get Pro, well, we're trying to let them understand that this is a very good source to get your game out there, for them, compared to just releasing it and trying to sell it like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you when you worked on the port, how was it? How did you find it was to work with Stadia? Like, were you able to like ask them questions, and like, did they help you out like that? Like, how was your experience with the team?
Yeah, I think like Simon, of course, had a little bit more because he was like in the porting process. But I always felt that we had like a account manager. We had different people with each expertise that we could reach out to, and there was always like a fast reply. I think all platforms are good at that. The same goes for when we have, like, we also have a game on Xbox, and you can like write a panic email and someone actually replies. And that was definitely the same here. I remember we had to pay more for like doing all of the age rating and stuff. Because it didn't have that, and for indies that was a little bit like, okay, $3,000 you say on top. So these things was a little spicy for a very small studio that we were at the point. But other than that, it was like a very smooth process. They were also learning a lot because the platform had just started, and there was a lot of like places in documentation which is like, okay, no information here, let's figure it out. And I remember when you submitted the pictures and stuff, I think you just put it in a Google Drive, which is like,
oh my gosh, really?
Oh wow.
Does this work? Okay.
They're like, I know that the beginning was very rough for them, but you know they're improving still. We're still seeing some new tools, some new stuff. So we're seeing some good positiveness. So hopefully, you know, we're not there yet, but hopefully, if you do end up getting your next game on it, the transition will be a little bit smoother. But speaking of which, of course, Astrid. Speaking of that, so now we kept the best for last. We got one of your best fan here, Aswi, who actually reached out to you to talk about this. You know, hats off to Aswi, who really made the effort to get you here also. So I'm gonna let him go and ask some more questions for you. Some very interesting questions.
All right. Just before we move on to the next game, there was a question in the audience and then also a question that we'd gotten from a Discord member. Are there any plans to add achievements to the Stadia version of Welcome to Elk?
Oh, yeah. I could ask the team. We have a lot of different ports and platforms at the moment. I think that could be cool to add achievements. It's always, especially being a small studio and just having Jonathan porting a lot of platforms. I can't even talk about all of it, but he has a lot to do the next year. I think that would be cool. Stadia is not our best performing platform. So it will be like, oh, okay, we have a little bit of extra time that we do it. But it will be hard to like, I'm going to promise you it's going to be out,
Right.
Yeah.
But it would be cool. Achievements are
for an honest answer than well,
exactly.
Do it and never do it. Yeah. But I also think it's important to understand, like, this is game development. Like, I would love to give everybody, all platforms and all languages and all of the things, but it's just like there's just so much money in the studio that
it makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So let's move on to the future now, the future of triple topping. Let's talk about Dead Pets Unleashed. Tell us a little bit about it, some of the characters, and then some of the features that you've been planning for it.
So in many ways, it's like, if you like BoJack Horseman, you would like Welcome to it, but you would also like Dead Pets Unleashed, I think. Also, if you like TV shows as Toucan Birdie. So it's about a punk band and Gordy, who is the bass player, even though it looks like she plays a guitar in the trailer. But yeah, again, money. We didn't have time to correct it. But it's a game about her and her punk band, and they're all turning 30, and people start to want to have a stable job and a stable income, and maybe they want to start a family. But Gordy, she's very persistent. Like, we should make a success out of this band. So there's a lot of struggles there in this group of 4 friends, and you follow their stories. It could be a punk band, an indie studio, like, that's up to. So we still work a lot with stories coming from ourselves. So similar to Welcome to Earth, there's a lot of mini games because those are fun to make and you can tell a lot of story with it. Like here in the video, you're cleaning a dildo.
I saw that.
There's a lot of eating and whites in there. and then at the same time, there's also a management part to it. So if you played the card game Range, where you can like almost Tinder choose yes or no to certain questions, you manage her, like Gordy's well-being, her money, or the lack of money, and the band. So you have some stats you need to sort of take an eye on in order to have all actions. And there's like 3 different endings to the game as well. So in that way, it's different from Welcome to Earth. It's also episodic. So each episode is about 30 minutes, maybe.
Nice. I love that.
issues with narrative games is you don't know how much time you put into it. Like you can be 8 hours and you have no clue if you're close to the ending.
Right.
And what TV series does really well is that it's like, hey, you can spend 25, 30 minutes and watch this episode. And then you can go on and do something else and you can watch another one tomorrow. So we really wanted to sort of mimic that feeling. Yeah.
That's really cool. No, the episodic structure, I hadn't heard about that. That's awesome.
We have a new episode coming out later this year.
Okay.
Ooh, looking forward to it.
I know when we were talking by email, you talked about how you were also implementing some of the storytelling that you took from Elk into Dead Pets Unleashed. How are you doing that? Are you also taking true stories as well, or is there a different approach?
It's not so direct true stories as in Welcome to Elk. So you wouldn't suddenly see a video of me or somebody else explaining about the story. But we use ourselves a lot in it, and we have a lot of fun talking about like different life experience and situations. And some of the team members started to go into these like gong meditation sessions. So like now there's gong meditation in the game and stuff like that. I think some of the more heavy stories comes with Gordon being a female protagonist, again in a male-dominated industry as the music industry, and see unfortunately experience sexual assault and sexual harassment, and the game deals a lot with that. So like if you see the game right now on Steam and itch, there's like a pretty heavy what's called disclaimer or the warning thing.
Right.
Yeah. And we work a lot with that in the game so people can like skip specific scenes and things that can maybe be triggering for them. Important for me is that if people have experienced sexual assault or harassment, that they know that they are not the only person in the world and they are not alone. They can choose to like play through whatever scene it is, but they can also choose to just be like, I know what this is about, and sort of just like follow Gordy and his story and how she tackles it and how she recovers from it.
Wow. I can see that you're taking a lot of what was in now Triple Topping's feminist game company, and then you mentioned earlier the anarchy with the punk aesthetic. You definitely get the anarchy coming through. So I'm hoping you keep
I love it
because I actually enjoyed. I think I have it on my phone. I have the song "I Own My Smile." It's very good actually, and I was listening to the lyrics. I'm like, okay, here's where the depth is starting to come. Again, you have these bright images. You know, cleaning a dildo, it can seem lighter, but then you can see some of the heaviness and more important things that need to be discussed. Which
and that's also a reason for showing a dildo in a game, because often you don't talk about that women are allowed to have like lust or be horny and these things.
Right.
Like having a small game like that, like instead of showing Gordy like masturbating, that would maybe be like a bit too much. You can show like, but she has a dildo and she needs to clean it.
Awesome.
So,
So moving on, I know I was a backer. I was a backer in one of your.
Like this was fun. It's okay to laugh.
No, it's good. I just want to move on. You had a Kickstarter. I was backing it. I was really into it. Didn't quite meet its goal. How has this kind of affected development and with the original tentative release that was on the Kickstarter for June 2024?
Yeah, we did a Kickstarter because we really we have some extra things, of course, we wanted to add. Like we have secured the budget for sort of like the base thing of the game, but we still had like extra things we wanted to add in because the game projects sort of grow a little bit over time, as game projects do. But I think it was difficult to sort of get the message out via the Kickstarter, like more difficult than we anticipated. We did have a press announcement that didn't really caught any attention, which was weird because with Welcome to Elk, we would always have like tons of articles, so that failed as well. So of course, like that's always difficult as a team, like, yay, keep the spirit up. But then our TikTok really started to get a lot of views and a lot of comments. We have videos now with more than 100 comments. And that gave a lot of like, a lot of boost of morale to the team, like, hey, what this? In the beginning, there was a lot of angry comments. I remember one is like, oh, people are now people are on the videos. Whoa. And some are angry. But then like the right side of TikTok or whatever found it, and there's a lot of positive comments now, and it's amazing to see that people really want to have this kind of game, and they're suggesting so many platforms, and they are really enthusiastic about it. So that's really lovely, and I love being on TikTok with the game. That works really well. I check it all. Maybe I'm almost like addicted to TikTok at the moment. But I check it. And we have an amazing community manager handling our TikTok, Tiger, and she's doing an amazing job there.
Very
so
nice.
like we're good. We will still release. It's gonna be out on several consoles this time, and I look forward to soon announce that. We're gonna be in different showcases and event over the next year, so we have a lot of exciting stuff lined up.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. I'm looking forward to it. As someone who wanted to be a backer of this game, please let me know what I can do to help get this moving forward more.
Wish listed, like that's super helpful. Always.
I'll wish list it. And then if you can get it wish listing on other platforms too, that'd be great. The question, because this is Stadium Connect North, Stadia?
Yeah, I wish I could like name and announce platforms and do whatever I wanted. I think that's maybe also something that can be difficult to understand as a consumer, that when you are creating a game, especially an indie game, it's extremely important that you're getting the right kind of deals. So platforms can support the porting and the process and the marketing cost of bringing a game onto a specific platforms. And there's many different kind of deals and things to figure out. So that makes it difficult to just go and say like, yeah, I'm gonna put it on all of these platforms that I like, because there can be there's a lot of tactics in that, in like who you partner up with and what they offer you and so on. I think definitely seeing the Stadia community being so excited about the game and having people comment, like I always said, it was the Linux users that was really like, bring it to Linux, but Stadia is more, I would say, even more dedicated, have made us like actually consider it as a platform again.
Very nice.
Because
Awesome.
I would say 4 months ago, if somebody said Stadia, I would just be like, why? But now it's like I would definitely see it as something like we have to think about, because there is actually users there, and I think Stadia Pro is super interesting as well.
Yes, yeah.
But announcing and saying stuff, that's tricky.
Right. So you're definitely open to the possibility of it coming to Stadia.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think developers are in general open to bring the games to as many platforms as possible. Like it's like each time you're releasing on a new platform, this is like, yay, one step closer to world domination. Like it feels good.
So if there's anybody out there watching at Stadia, contact Astrid. She's open to talks. Who knows? A couple of years here when the game comes out, we could see it launch directly into Stadia Pro, which I think it would really.
If anyone in Stadia is listening, I need money to bring it to the platform.
Bring the bills.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So I've covered my bases. We've all covered our bases. Do we want to open it up for the audience to, bring anything up? Any questions from them?
Yeah, and meanwhile, Astrid, I really admire you as a developer, because I know that like in this day and age, being a developer can be very hard. Not just because you're working, but nowadays you have to have like a presence in social medias, right? In everywhere publicly, and there's a lot of abuse towards developers. I've noticed that in the last few months, it's been very, very harsh. Like,
bad.
It's getting pretty bad. So I admire your persistence in all of that. I'm super happy to hear that your TikTok is going very well. That must give you a big push into continuing this. So I just wanted to say a little something on that. I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you.
Oh, here we go. The Stadia community is stepping up here, Astrid, now. So, shameless Stadia Pro plug. Better to be found game on Stadia Pro than lost in Xbox Game Pass.
Hot take.
Yeah. Well,
pay up front.
yeah, I know. So that's. I mean, it's really good to hear that, you know, the positive experience that Stadia Pro, like, welcome to Elk, coming to Stadia Pro, that now you've discovered this passionate Stadia community. You're here today on the show. You know, you're interacting on Twitter and other social media platforms, and I think that's really positive to hear. And out of, like, we've interviewed now, probably 12 to 15 different developers, and all have, you know, pretty much the same sentiment and message that you had. Like, you know, going on to Stadia Pro has been a positive aspect to their game and opening it up, the awareness, the profit sharing, and all that good stuff. So I'm hoping that as we all are here, that, you know, behind the scenes over the next, you know, couple of years while the game's being development, that, you know, that you can work something out with Stadia and seeing it on the platform, because as you said, you know, that the goal is to be able to get it on as many platforms as possible. Obviously, you know, money makes that happen. So, you know, that's definitely gives the community a little hope. You know, like you said, it's nothing that you're committing to, but you're definitely open to, you know, bringing the game over to the platform under the right conditions, which is, you know, very understandable. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that having games like streaming games like what Stadia is, I think that's interesting anyways. Like, if you just talk about like what will games be in the future, the fact that you can like just play on like wherever you are and you have access to a whole library of games, like that's just exciting. So I also think Stadia, of course, like it's still new. They're testing out. They're probably learning a lot at the moment about the community, what kinds of game the needs, and all of these things. So of course, like, it will continue to grow as a platform. And just because Welcome to Elk didn't do like super well in the beginning on the platform doesn't mean that the platform wouldn't be like super interesting in the future. I think you always need to look out for like what's the next new thing when running a business.
So in relation to that, have you had a chance to play some Stadia, and, you know, do you have like a favorite game on the platform?
Yeah. What have I played on Stadia? Played Welcome to Elk when we have to test it.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Then I jumped into Hitman.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
From Denmark.
Yeah.
I have to say,
I also played Figment, and it's another Danish game.
Figment's great. Yeah.
And I guess that's it, basically.
Good choices.
I'm a developer. I have very little time for playing games. I play Sims 4 at the moment.
That's what we hear.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. We saw. Let's go back here. Dead Dog 52 said, I love the song in the trailer. I watch it a lot just for the song. Will the song be, or no, is the song in the game? Welcome to Elk trailer. Okay. Yeah.
It's the song is in the very end of the game. It's also on Spotify, I think, actually. I think we released it on Spotify. Yeah. It's not a song that we wrote. It's a public domain song, so like everybody can use it. And the person singing it is my brother's wife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah.
So it's like, she's not a professional, but she has a good voice. And I like that it's like you can hear like this is not a professional voiceover person or like superstar. This is just like us basically. We are also not professional. We just like put something in the game that we like. Yeah.
Another Stadia push here from the community, because while we have you here, we're talking with, CEO and owner of the company. What not a better time to get our passion across here. Internet of Games says, well, hopefully the pro revenue sharing and the low change porting tools, along with expansion to more territories, you won't need to help to tap into that larger market. So, like we said, like you mentioned, it's Stadia still, even though, going into the third and the fourth year, is still a relatively new platform. Streaming games is still, people have to, are still getting used to that and accepting it and things like that. So, it does make sense. But, of course, as being the community we are, we're going to try as much as we can and do whatever we can, to help out in getting that awareness. And I guess maybe that might be like a question. As a community in whole, is there anything that we can do that would help get Dead Pets on Stadia, or at least be in your favor?
I think, like, always when the community speak to you, like, you're always listening. We also, like, a lot of people requested Linux for our games. Now we're actually trying to do Linux with Dead Pets, and I think we will have the demo ready there in about a month. Developers listen, and especially small developers like us who don't have like too much noise. We read all the tweets. We see all the comments on Discord. We see all the comments on TikTok still, even though it can be like 100 in a day. So I think that's doing like the right thing, making people aware, like, even though your game is maybe not performing like super well on this platform at the moment, there is actually a community and an active community there. Because of course, like, if you look at like indie game Twitter from the industry side, like, people are only talking about Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, Steam, and you sort of get the expression like, this is where you have to be at because there's no one else anywhere else. So I think the community, like, for Stadia has done a really good job there. Like, I was surprised. Like, we were really surprised. Like, what is this Stadia people talking?
What the heck? You went from nobody playing it to now all of a sudden Stadia Pro. People are playing it. They're talking about it. They're asking. I know when I saw, because as actually during the Kickstarter, as we showed me in the FAQ section where you have it asking, what about Linux? What about Stadia and mobile devices? And I put it like a tweet out there. It says, let Triple Topping know that we want the game on Stadia. And, people were liking it, retweeting and stuff like that. So, and again, this is something we hear from developers every time, but for some strange reason, some people don't get to, like, it doesn't stick in their mind, is actually reaching out and letting and being vocal on social media does make a difference, because like you said, it like, you now know of this passionate community for Stadia. And, although, like, for cloud gaming, it's like a 1% to 2% of the market, whereas, of course it's dominated by the Xbox, the PlayStation and Nintendo's, but having this voice is saying, hey, we're here, don't forget about us, that's great. And the fact that you're taking time to listen and entertain the opportunity and chance to do it is definitely very encouraging. So, like we said, hopefully things work out and, able to make a deal to bring the game to Stadia, because that would be fantastic. More people, just to be able to play the game. And on any platform, it's never bad to have, more games, a wider, variety of games. And I think, like, with Welcome to Elk, again, going back to the stories and the storytelling and that emotional connection, like, it's just truly amazing, and it's awesome. And it doesn't even matter that the water's not animated or the background is, not colored, like, because you're so involved with those characters who you have colored and they stand out and pop out. Like, you don't even, all that stuff doesn't matter, right? Like, it's just this story. And, even for me, I would take, like you said, for Welcome to Elk, if you rush through it, it's out, a couple hours or whatever. I would rather have this engrossing story where I make that emotional connection and it only be a couple hours rather than something that's 20, 30, 40, 50 hours and I really don't care. Right? Welcome to Elk is something you're going to be talking about and, with friends, and it's something you're going to remember. So to me, those types of games are way more valuable, way like I enjoy those types, and in the art style and the way that you, like, I don't know, it wouldn't necessarily be called cinematography, but the way that you frame things and bring to forefront, and that realization is just like, it's mind-blowing. There's a lot packed into the game which a lot of people may not know. So yeah, I just really looking forward to it. And again, hats off to what you're doing, what your team and the company is creating, and the messages that you're sending out there. That's very positive, and I really wish that there was a lot more developers that thought and did the same as you do.
Thank you. I think we see more and more developers, though. At least on my Twitter, little circle of people.
Right? Yeah. It is starting to there are more and more people, but we need more of it. And again, that's why one of the questions was, I asked you about, like, feminists, like, people will take that the wrong way and see that as being bad, and you're here, you explain it, and it's just like, yeah, of course that makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you want everybody to have that equal chance, equal opportunity to be able to do the thing, express themselves or have those opportunities? So it only makes sense, and it's not something to be afraid of or fear. So yeah, definitely, for sure.
Sorry, John, you're talking there. It just had me bring a question, since we were talking about different developers and feminism and all that stuff. Astrid, in the circles that you run, are there developers or games that you're seeing upcoming, or some that you've seen recently? Anything that you can just bring attention to? I know, like, with you've co-developed and co-published Yinglet, and that recently got ported to Xbox. Congratulations on that. But are there other developers or games that you've seen in your time? I know you're at Gamescom, obviously promoting Dead Pets Unleashed, but are there things that you would bring to our attention?
I've seen a lot, because I also work as an advisor to Colonize. We are a game fund, so I've seen a lot of games. I think right now I'm really excited about Validate Game. So that's like it's very clear. It's from a team of, I think, primarily Black developers, and it's a story-driven game about, like, dating, and it's a lot of different people hanging out and dating and dating each other. And I just think that game is really doing an amazing job in giving a voice to a community and to developers who normally never get a voice in this industry, because it is a very white dominated industry. So I think Validate Game is extremely interesting. I don't know what it's definitely on Steam, maybe it's on itch. I don't know what platforms else it is, but it's coming out like in a week maybe.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Very quick.
Okay.
Like very soon. I've been following it for a little over a year. And I really think it's the founder of the studio. Like, she's really bold and way more brave than I am on Twitter, and saying a lot of, like, honest stuff. So it's also amazing to follow her. So I'm excited about that one. I also think Thirsty Suitors is interesting.
Yes.
Because it's about, like, it's about a culture, like, I never really heard about or seen in, like, this in Scandinavia. And it is it's also mixing a lot of different genres. It has humor in it, but it's also dealing with heavy stories that really get you attached to the game. So I think that's super interesting as well. I think that's a little bit earlier in development, and it's gonna be out close to Dead Pits or something like that. But those are the two I really enjoying following. I mostly follow games on Twitter because it's like colleagues. It's like LinkedIn. Yeah.
No,
So-
Thirsty Suitors looks interesting. I remember, I think Annapurna had their showcase. They started with that one. I was like, this game, I need to play it. And I think it's coming out next year, hopefully.
I think it's next year. The trailer is so amazing.
It's beautiful. It's so colorful. There's so much going on. And now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I can see parallels between your just the use of color. I found similar to what was in Welcome to Elk. Very cool. Yeah, no, that one's on my. I will have to get the actual written name of the other studio and keep an eye on them as well, because that sounds very interesting as well.
He's got his finger on the buy button right now. He's just waiting for a week before he can buy it. Yeah.
The wallet's open, right? The wallet's open.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I think it's one of those things where we have all these AAA developers, indie developers, and such, but I'm starting to go digging deeper, and that's one of the things where I kind of want Stadia to do more, is amplify those voices.
Yeah,
you don't have a ton of games on there right now, because that's the complaint everyone has. There's no games, but there's a lot of gems in there. Yeah, I know, it's true. It's the funding, but there's a lot of gems on there. So if the funding came, it would be a smaller portion, and you'd have more interesting games on there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Also, very jealous that you get to deal with Kowloon Knights, because they're everything they've been putting out is very exciting lately.
Yeah, it's like they funded Welcome to Elk, so that's how I got to work with them. And it's like, okay, you have Sifu, there's Scorn coming out soon, and none of us Welcome to Elk.
but there's also Sea of Stars from Sabotage, Roller Drone.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I love that. Sabotage is awesome.
So many different levels of games, and
I don't know what we announced we work with or not, so I'm just gonna stay quiet.
Oh, don't worry. I was on their site today.
Look at the webpage again. Yeah.
My favorite publisher is in the indie scene is Devolver Digital, right? They have a really big name because they've been doing game for quite a while now. But that is one publisher that I wish would support Stadia more, because they have amazing developers out there doing amazing work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well,
that's all I had to say.
Yeah. Well, Astrid, thank you again so much. We know it is really late for you here. We appreciate you taking the time, talking to us, learning more about you, the studios. Welcome to Elk, Dead Pets, and I just can't convey how appreciative we are that you spending this time here and to talk to us today on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh yeah, definitely. Who knows? Maybe we'll be back again for the launch, Dead Pets, and you could be saying, you know what, guys, it's coming to Stadia Pro. You got, this video here. Whoever was watching at Stadia, they reached out to me and they said, Astrid, we want this. We can see the community. You never know, right? You never know of what stuff could be done, because there are people at Stadia that do watch the show here. We know that for a fact. So hopefully that they're watching this, listening, reach out to Astrid.
They have my email.
Yeah, they've got your email as well. So yeah, drop her a line here and let's get the deal done so we can be celebrating. Alrighty. Well, we are going to go ahead and end the show. Again, thank you so much. Thank you, Ninja. Thank you, Asmi, for getting all this set up here and inviting Astrid on and working out all the details. It's been really fantastic. And thank you in the audience here watching it live or the replay. We really appreciate your support, and we hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Take care, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.